So I have been told, I don't know where I caught this from originally, but I have been told that winter is coming. So with the Song of Ice and Fire folks, if winter is coming, you want to make it look like winter.
I was on the edge of saying that like the entire video. I was like, I don't know if I can say that. Maybe I'll say winter is going, the long dramatic blank. But yeah, anyways, fresh out of the polar vortex here, us warmongers, is that what we call ourselves? Yeah. We're going to be navigating the ways of ice and snow in a couple different ways, how to apply it to scenery as well as bases in this video.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. All right, so snowy bases. Generally in this situation where snow is involved, the dirt will also be wet and dark. So that's why I'm kind of taking some specific choices in this situation. Started off with some Battlefield Brown from P3. Just a real basic kind of a chocolatey brown tone. Your standard brown, not opposed to that fancy brown. And yeah, we'll just lovingly caress it into every little space and crevice on this base. Get a nice, thick, healthy layer of coverage there. Hopefully kind of a one-shot, one-kill situation. You've heard of many thin layers. How about one thick one? So we'll slap that down and let it dry. All right, it's been weeks and our foundation is finally dry. The next thing we're going to do is slowly move up from that darkness, move up from that moisture. We're going to add a orangish mucky color in the form of P3's Bloodstone. Let's get a little dollop of that. Dry brush it on there. See Uncle Adam's video on dry brushing, y'all. Yeah, just, gently dragging a paint with relatively low amount of brush over the textured surface, the raised area. Give it a few passes to get some accumulation so that pigment is really going to show up. I'll even dip the brush just one more time. There. And Shazam. I mean, Pachow, actually. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll grab our final color. Before I get too ahead of myself, we must place the wash before the final highlight. So I've got a little strong tone from good old Army Painter. And we'll just mindfully place this wash upon the base. Make sure to massage it into every little crevice again. You want to maintain that nice even surface tension by working across the wet edge constantly. See, I'm going from one side to the other. Bam! 10 seconds. Mark it. So we'll do the next step of dry brushing after this. All right, the wash is dry, and we're going to apply a third color for that dry brush. The theory here being, as the dirt kind of rises up from the moist underbelly of the soot and sod, it's going to get a little more dry. So I'm going to switch tones, changing from that kind of orangish bloodstone color over to more desaturated tan in the form of Gun Corpse brown, a la P3. So again, just lightly taking a little bit of that paint off of the brush with a paper towel. Just very lightly. Pressure is key. If you apply a lot of pressure, you're going to get a much kind of less fine result, a thicker and fatter bristle, being pushed into the ground. So yeah, we'll just slap it on, just like that. And now we have a good foundation, a good base to add some grass and some snow, which is going to be the fun part. And we'll do that next. All right, so we're adding a little grass to this base, and it's back to school time. Remember all that glue that you ate back in school? Well, it's useful for more than one thing. It doesn't just taste good, it also adheres grass to a base. So we're gonna get some of our basic white glue and just lay down some dots very sparsely. This is kind of up to the artist to choose how grassy and trampled your little field might be. with any luck, you show up with snow bases on a springtime battlefield, right? Isn't that the way things always go? And let's grab a little bit of this winter tuft from the army painter. Sorry, it's steppe grass. And we'll just gently drizzle it down above the container best we can. Ordinarily, I would have like a sheet of paper underneath this to kind of catch some of the overflow. Crease that paper in the middle and pour the flock back into the container. We'll just drizzle it like so. Tamp it down. Yes, I said tamp. Tap it at the bottom. And give a little blow to make the grass stand back up. Again, kind of upwards from the bottom. And take out any particularly long strands. But there we got a nice grassy start. We'll have to let that sit, dry, attach itself, and then we'll start throwing some snow on top of that. All right, so now we're ready for the fun part. And I know it might seem like we're just slapping some snow on a base, but I wanted to take things a little bit further, kind of continuing along that description for the dirt, right? The lower levels are a lot wetter than the upper levels, and snow takes on this characteristic as well as things melt and then reaccumulate. So we've got a couple elements in play. First of all, I've got my little custom mix here. What this is Mod Podge, Dimensional Magic, plus some crushed glass from Secret Weapon. Warning, contains crushed glass. That'll be our first layer to form this kind of, melted underlayer. And then on top of that, we'll use some Citadel texture Valhalla Blizzard. You can see I've also added a little bit of plastic to kind of protect the seal. Some of these technical paints, I don't break them out as often as I do the other paints. So this has preserved the life of this bottle a lot longer than it normally would have lived out its days. So we'll take some of that Mod Podge and crushed glass, scoop it up, and just again, it's up to you to choose how sparsely or dense you lay down this material. Just gonna make sure to kind of pat it down so it can work its way in between all the blades of grass. Just give it a little taparoo. Exciting, I know. Just watch the snow dry. So I've got a decent amount of that laid down. And as everything kind of dries on the situation, the Mod Podge will sink down, flatten a little bit. Those particles of crushed glass will kind of show a little texture. It's also going to leave kind of a glossy mark at the base of these melted piles of snow. I don't know why I just shook that, but force of habit. Ordinarily, I'd let these dry in between steps, but we're doing a video and we've done enough pause play of the drying and waiting. So we'll just lean into it, as they say. Scoop up some of this Valhalla Tundra. Kind of drag it over some of these spots of grass, just get that sparseness. You may not want just a individual glob of snow hanging out on the base. Usually there's kind of a lead up to things. Sort of like when you notice that you're covered in ants. You notice the one ant, and then slowly you realize that there are like 100 ants climbing all over you, if that's ever happened to anyone out there at the game shop. Anyways, on we go with the lesson. Ooh, I'm getting low. I've used almost all of this. But yeah, just tapping it in place like so, and you can see there in the finished result, comes out nicely. After it dries, you may want to apply a little bit more of a gloss coat to your dirt. You could mix some brown paint in with a gloss coat or the Mod Podge. Is this muddy snow? Has it been stomped, or has it just been melting before this battle ensued? These are the important questions we must ask ourselves. But I hope that this lesson has served to kind of inform and excite people a little bit about wintry effects. And following along with those wintry effects, right? We've got a snow-covered battlefield. What about the scenery? How can I make that more interesting? We're here to find out, and I will show you. So how do you make icicles? By playing with fire, of course. So here we go. Materials needed, a little bit of glue. I've got a clipper. Thanks, Adam. Forgot mine. Some clear acrylic rod. This is the key component here. I guess also your flame provider, also known as a lighter. And some tweezers to pinch and pull that melted rod. You can see here, here's a picture of the azurite ruins that I prepared in this way. You know, using some of the same approach to the basing that I just used, but plus these little icicles. So, without further ado, let's start the fire. We'll just gently melt. You can see it's starting to bend, and as gravity takes hold, as the acrylic rod softens, that's how you know it's pliable. And you want to be quick about this. Quickly drop that lighter, grab onto that rod, give it a pinch and a twist. Let it harden just like so. And yeah, I suggest just leaving the rod attached as one whole long straw before you're clipping it in individual pieces. And I'd also recommend making more icicles than you think you'll need. This process is a little chaotic. The results vary every time, you know, so create multiple icicles. We'll clip it at a diagonal angle. And if it gets a little foggy from you snipping it off at a certain point, I think I may have made it like too thin. There we go. You can always just use some Ard Coat, Mod Podge, gloss medium, and just cover up that little smoky bit. But yes, here we have our tiny icicle. Spot of glue. Grab our azurite ruins, or whatever you're trying to make encased in ice and snow, and gently press. It may not be hanging down at the perfect angle. I can just nudge it slightly. It's going to vary, you know, based on the angle created by your snipping. Yeah, just like so. If I wanted to maybe tone it in a certain direction, I would go back and add a little touch of turquoise to a gloss medium, glaze it over the icicle. I've also used this technique to create like drool effects, strands of blood and gore. You could have some kind of magical effect suspended by this clear acrylic rod, dyeing it with all kinds of inks and gloss mediums and all that. There's a lot of potential here, so I hope that kind of opens people's minds up a little bit. So yeah, that is creating a snowy environment, ground and scenery. And if you want to catch up with me online, I'm on Facebook at The Fantasy Art of Sam Lenz, samsonminis.blogspot.com, Samson Osmus on Instagram. And also, I've taken my show on the road. I am teaching courses with CK Studio on some very high-end painting, aiming for that professional level. Check out ckstudios.bigcartel.com. You can find a list of my events and where I'll be, as well as the other roster of instructors. We have 4 people in total, and it's going to be a good time. So thanks to Adam and all the minions out there. Thank you all for doing what you do, and we'll see you next time.